Wise life after 60. When you stop being available, everything changes. What would happen if, instead of explaining, defending, or reacting, you simply became quiet after 60? Real power often appears in silence, in the choice not to react. Think about the people you've met who truly influenced you. Not the loudest ones, not those who explained themselves endlessly, but those who carried a certain stillness, those who could sit in a room and shift its entire energy without uttering a word. Their presence alone spoke volumes. Hi, welcome back to my channel. It's Vernon again. Today, I'll share 5 profound truths about what happens when you stop being too available and how silence becomes your greatest power after 60. When you're always available, people quickly learn how to control your emotions, which buttons to press, and how to make you respond every time. But when you withdraw with awareness, when you create space between their expectations and your response, the entire energy of the game changes. Before we go deeper, hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. Every day I share reflections on emotional strength, boundaries, and the kind of inner peace that only comes after decades of living. This is a space for us, for those who are finally ready to stop performing and start being. Now, let's begin with the first trap. Many of us fall into the belief that being constantly available makes us valuable. Hajon, the trap of being always available. Constant availability is a slow form of self-erasure. You don't notice it at first. It feels good to be needed, to be the one people call, to be reliable, understanding, always ready to help. Society teaches us that our worth lies in being needed, especially after 60, when the world starts whispering that our relevance is fading. So we double down. We stay available. We answer every text. We make ourselves smaller so others feel bigger. We say yes when our bodies are screaming no. And little by little, kindness becomes exhaustion. Generosity becomes resentment. Self-worth and boundaries become foreign concepts, buried under years of conditioning. Here's the psychology. The need to please becomes a form of dependency. Not theirs on you, but your son, their validation. You start to believe that if you're not constantly giving, you're not worthy of love. That if you set a boundary, you'll be abandoned. When you're always present, people stop valuing your presence. It's like a song played too often. Your warmth, your wisdom, your care, they become background noise, expected, taken for granted. And one day, you realize you've become invisible, even while standing in the room. The Buddha once said, "You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection." But we forget this. We pour ourselves out until we're empty, believing that emptiness is love. It's not. Have you ever caught yourself giving so much that you started to disappear? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your story might be the reminder someone else needs to finally set themselves free. And that's how the pleasing mask begins, the quiet disguise that drains your soul. #2. The mask of pleasing and its cost. Can you remember the last time you told the truth about how you felt without softening it, without apologizing, without immediately following it with, "But it's okay"? Most of us can't, because somewhere along the way, we learned to wear the mask of understanding. We learned that to be loved, we must never be too much, never too sad, never too angry, never too tired, never too real. So we say, "It's okay," while suffocating inside. We reply when we should rest. We explain when silence would have spoken more. We perform emotional labor we never signed up for, just to keep the peace, or more honestly, to keep people from leaving. Let me tell you about my own experience. For years, I was the family mediator, the calm voice, the one who absorbed everyone's storms and never created my own. My wife would vent, my children would call with their crises, old friends would reappear only when they needed something, and I showed up. Every single time. I thought that made me strong, dependable, a good man. But at 62, lying awake at 3 a.m. with my heart racing and my mind spinning with everyone else's problems, I realized something. I had stopped existing as a person. I had become a function in someone else's story. The psychologist Carl Rogers wrote, "The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. But I wasn't accepting myself. I was erasing myself, piece by piece, to fit into their expectations. And here's what no one tells you. Those who want you always available don't love you. They love the comfort you provide. They love the version of you that never challenges them, never disappoints them, never asks for anything in return. That's not love. That's convenience. And the cost? The cost is your energy, your peace, your identity. The cost is waking up one day and not recognizing the exhausted stranger in the mirror. The cost is an inner war between wanting love and needing freedom that tears you apart from the inside. And when that war lasts too long, your body begins to protest through fatigue, anxiety, and emptiness. #3. Energy drain. Why you feel exhausted. Every emotional reaction is a withdrawal from your energy bank. Think about it. Each argument you engage in, each over-explaining text you send, each attempt to fix someone who doesn't want to be fixed, each moment you sacrifice protecting your energy for the sake of keeping someone else comfortable. These aren't small things. They're energetic hemorrhages. And after 60, when our bodies naturally have less energy to burn, when rest becomes not a luxury, but a necessity, this misdirected energy becomes life-threatening to our well-being. Exhaustion isn't weakness, aging, or inevitable decline. It's simply energy spent in the wrong places, fighting battles that aren't yours, trying to save those who never asked, and explaining yourself to those who never truly listened. Here's the wisdom I wish I'd learned decades earlier. True strength lies not in quick reaction, but in selective reaction, in choosing which battles deserve your energy and which ones deserve your silence. When you master that choice, when you understand that emotional intelligence and awareness means knowing, when not to engage your calm becomes magnetic, your presence becomes powerful, your peace becomes unshakable. Think of the ocean. It's one of the most powerful forces on Earth. It can erode mountains. It can carry ships. It can sustain entire ecosystems. But the ocean never rushes to prove its depth. It simply is. That's the kind of energy we need to cultivate after 60. Not the frantic energy of proving, fixing, explaining, but the grounded energy of inner peace and confidence. The kind that comes from knowing your worth isn't negotiable. If this message resonates with you, save this video. Come back to it whenever you feel drained or pulled in too many directions. It'll remind you where your real power lives, in your calm, your boundaries, and your peace. And that's when manipulation loses its patent power, because it can't reach someone who no longer reacts. #4. Manipulation and the power of non-reaction. Are you willing to be misunderstood just to be free? That's the question that changes everything. Because here's the truth. When you stop reacting, manipulation collapses. I think of Dad. He was 65 when he finally stopped arguing with my uncle his own brother who had spent decades provoking him. At every family gathering, every holiday, my uncle would make subtle digs about my father's career, his choices, his life. For 40 years, my father took the bait, defending himself, explaining, getting angry, trying to prove his worth again and again, until one Christmas he just stopped. My uncle made his usual comment, and my father smiled, nodded, and said nothing. The silence was so unexpected, so complete, that the entire room noticed. My uncle tried again. Still nothing, just a calm, almost amused silence. And something remarkable happened. My uncle deflated. The power he'd held for decades evaporated, because there was nothing to push against anymore. No emotional participation, no reaction, no fuel for his fire. After 60, manipulators rely on your emotional participation, your outrage, guilt, or apology. When you choose silence, they're left facing their own emptiness. Their tactics become transparent. Their words lose weight. You'll notice the shift immediately when you start practicing healthy detachment. People who were used to controlling you through emotion will become confused. Some will get angry. Some will guilt trip you. Some will accuse you of being cold, of changing, of not caring anymore. That's when you must stay grounded. Because those reactions aren't about you. They're about them losing their grip. They're about the uncomfortable realization that they can no longer dictate your emotional state. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, said it perfectly. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. But I'd add, sometimes we need to listen even less and simply observe from a place of self-love and empowerment. Freedom doesn't come when they understand you. It comes when you no longer need them to. And from that silence, something sacred begins to grow. #5. The power of silence. Silence isn't emptiness. It's presence with weight. I've learned, especially in these years after 60, that silence is one of the most misunderstood tools we have. People mistake it for weakness, for passivity, for having nothing to say. But true silence, conscious, intentional silence, is sovereignty. Here's what happens psychologically when you speak less. Others project less. They can't put words in your mouth. They can't assume your motives. They're forced to sit with their own interpretations, their own anxieties, their own need for your validation. And suddenly, the power dynamic shifts. Silence reveals truth. It shows you who truly cares about your well-being versus who only cared about your availability. It exposes manipulation. It honors your need for solitude and self-discovery. It protects your energy without you having to explain why. I think about the great poet Rumi, who wrote, "Silence is the language of God. All else is." Poor translation. In that sacred space of silence and self-reflection, we reconnect with ourselves. We hear our own voice again, not the voice that's been trained to please, but the authentic voice that's been waiting patiently beneath all the noise. Here's some practical guidance I've learned through trial and error. Use silence intentionally. Don't answer every call for explanation. When someone demands to know why you've changed, why you're not as available, why you seem different, you don't owe them a dissertation. A simple, "I'm taking care of myself," is enough. Or even just a gentle smile and silence. Observe before responding. When someone says something designed to provoke you, wait. Count to 10. Notice your emotional response without acting on it. This is emotional healing journey in real-time learning to feel without reacting. Let silence do the heavy lifting. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. Your absence speaks. Your non-participation teaches. Your calm presence becomes the answer. And after 60, when we're finally stepping away from the world of constant productivity and proving our worth through usefulness, silence becomes our greatest act of rebellion and self-respect. And once you learn that silence, you'll find the courage to create real boundaries, the kind that heal instead of isolate. By now, you understand the reason why you should stop being too available, not to punish others, but to save yourself. Withdrawal feels empty at first. When you step back from old patterns, there's a void: unanswered calls, skipped events, fading ties. It feels like loss, but it's cleansing. Silence becomes medicine, easing the parts of you that have been stretched too thin. Loneliness turns into solitude, and in that solitude, you rediscover peace. Absence becomes presence again, not in others' lives, but in your own. You begin to notice the sunrise, the warmth of coffee, the calm of a morning without obligation. Healing comes not from adding more, but from letting go of what was never yours to carry. After 60, this is transformation. You stop being constantly available and, in doing so, stop being replaceable. You become grounded, intentional, and rare, someone whose quiet presence speaks louder than any effort to please. Have you ever noticed how peace returned the moment you chose silence over reaction? Share your story in the comments. Your experience might give someone else permission to reclaim their power. I'm building a community here of people who understand that after 60, value yourself more isn't selfish, it's survival. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more reflections on emotional strength, healing, and wisdom after 60. Visit this channel to explore many more videos on personal development journey. Protect your time and energy, and discovering the profound peace that comes from finally choosing yourself. And I'm Vernon. Thanks for watching till now, and see you in my next video.